But all right, Brian, let's start things off here. We're going to look at some win totals because I think that's something as we get closer to the season, a lot of people are intrigued by. And I know you've got three teams in particular we're going to discuss here today. Looking at some teams, and I know you're loving the overs on these three teams. Let's start with the defending SEC West champion LSU, who we know, and we will talk about the LSU Florida State game here at the end of the episode. But LSU 9.5 is that number now, or again, it may fluctuate depending on where you look. But I know, Brian, you are big on the LSU over 9.5 wins this season.
I am, and for those that haven't bet a lot of season win totals, it is for regular season games only. So if they get to the conference championship or a bowl game, that's irrelevant. After the regular season finale ends, these bets will grade. And the one little rule, if you will, that you need to know is that if any games get postponed, whether it's a hurricane, whether it's whatever makes a game get canceled and it's only an 11 game regular season, or if you're betting on Hawaii, obviously they have 13. If one game gets canceled, the bet becomes a no play. So hopefully we won't have that with LSU. I really like the Tigers. I think they're going to repeat in the SEC West. Just start with a little personnel. Love Jayden Daniels, 885 rushing yards, a team high last year, 11 touchdowns, 17-3 TDINT ratio. I think he's got a legit All-American candidate and Malik Neighbors at the wide receiver position. I really like their running back room a lot. They've got all their top rushers back, and they've added Logan Diggs, the running back from Notre Dame. And I think after you watch the second half of the Georgia game last year, Nussmeier was slinging it around pretty good. And when you bet a win total over, you got to factor in that there's the potential for your quarterback to get hurt. I mean, obviously,
Yep.
if your quarterback's elite and he gets a season-ending injury, that's bad. But I mean, you got to factor in that maybe he gets hurt for a game or two, and you could make the argument Georgia's defense maybe let down in the second half in Atlanta last year because they had such a big lead. But Nussmeier passed the eye test, so I mean, I think they've got two quarterbacks that they can win with. Defensively, Makai Wingo made a couple of, the third team All American per Phil Steele's magazine last year. He's back. I love Harold Perkins, man. I think he's one of the top players in the country. Had a fantastic freshman campaign. I think he'll be even better this year. I think the guy's a legit superstar. And then, Brian Kelly hit the portal, added 14 transfers, one of them 5-star, 8 of them 4 stars, the number 5 overall recruiting class. But in terms of transfer specific, the number 2 class, and added some big time talent on defense. I love Omar Spates, the linebacker, 39 career starts at Oregon State, 308 tackles, 25 tackles for loss, led a real salty Oregon State defense and tackles last year. That my Gators unfortunately had the misfortune of getting pimp slapped by, and just added a lot of other excellent pieces. Darian Chestnut, a corner that started 24 games at Syracuse. Zy Alexander, albeit at the FCS level at Southeast Louisiana, but it had 9 interceptions and 29 career starts the last few years. But yeah, really like LSU's talent. Mason Smith, a defensive tackle, another guy is a potential All-American. Mason Taylor at tight end. So lots of talent for LSU. And you look at the schedule. I initially marked them 9-0 with 3 swing games, being at Alabama, where they're actually a 7-point underdog in games of the year, at Ole Miss, where they're a 4.5-point favorite, and at Mississippi State, where they're a 9-point favorite. You could also call the FSU game a swing game, but I've already bet LSU laying a small number, so obviously I think they're going to get that one. I do think they get the game in Starkville as well. The game at Ole Miss could certainly be tricky, and the Alabama game, but even if they lose, those two, they would be 10-2. And I think they've got a great chance to be 11-1, and those are some reasons why I'm on the Tigers.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's if people have watched our bold predictions we did, I think Chris and I both had Chris had Jayden Daniels winning the Heisman, so that's how high we are on LSU, and we all picked LSU to win the SEC West in our picks we did this summer, and so yeah, I think we're all kind of there with you in terms of kind of looking at LSU, and again the schedule I think sets up. There are potential pitfalls, but I think when you look at the way the schedule sets up, especially that back end where they play 5 of their last 6 games in Baton Rouge, yeah, I mean, it's just that's a nice place to be late in the season after the grind of kind of where things are earlier in the season, as you know. So, yeah, I think that's a really good spot.